You breathe. Not creepy.
First, let's click this button because we're live. You're watching the Tesla live with your host, Mark Coughlin, and Ryan White of Futurama.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 409. Here we are on the 30th of April, 2025, and we have a special guest. It's that lemon tree, of course, in the background. No, it's Mr. Brian White joins us from Futurama. How are you today, Brian?
Man, I'm doing awfully good. It's only taken this many days to get my sleep pattern back to kind of normal. Had a couple good days there and a couple of not so good ones, but I think I'm doing okay.
Excellent. Also with us, as normal, we have Mr. Casey Green joining us from an undisclosed location in the mid-Atlantic states. How are you today, sir?
Doing okay. Got it down to the wire today.
Yes, we did.
You think somebody who's working from home wouldn't have these issues? But,
wouldn't be that close to the wire. But hey, the important thing is you got it done and we're here. So thanks so much for that. Today, we're missing Mr. Patrick Connor, who said he may join us late in the middle of this, or he may not. So we will see. Place your bets now. Who knows?
But that's another deal with working from home is if you go away from home, well, you're definitely going to be late.
But today, with Brian White joining us from Futurama, we wanted to talk about his spectacular recent trip to China and of course the Shanghai area of China specifically, and I believe it was to coordinate with the Shanghai Auto Show is the main reason for your visit. Is that correct, Brian?
That is correct, Mark. Yes, I knew the Shanghai Auto Show was coming. I announced that I was interested in going and wanted to see if I could get any kind of support to make that happen. Viewers supported me. So I reached out to the auto show many times, never heard back. Got all my visas in order, only to find out I had the wrong visa because in China, uniquely, you do not get press credentials without a media visa, and you can't change your visa once it's been approved. So that was a real fun kick in the knackers there. But you can still get invited by one of the many manufacturers, the countless manufacturers, to attend media days as just a VIP. But I was not able to do that either. So it's, if I want to cover Chinese brands in the same way I cover Tesla, this is how you do it, is you get no support, no love, and you just do it. And the gal from BYD was like, oh man, you just covered one of our smaller showrooms and didn't give us any coverage at the actual show. Yeah. We had quite a conversation, you and me, and your booth had booming music. I'm sorry, I can't do anything there. So yeah, I just covered what I could, did what I could, and here we are. Got a lot of
one of those like pan shots.
I could get a bunch of B-roll and then go back and do it later, but there's infinite material to cover at an event like that. I'm gonna go path of least resistance.
That's exactly. They can complain all they want, but they've just made it harder for them to actually get coverage by doing the music stuff because
right. So dumb, so crazy, guys. When you're doing big events like this, lay off the copyright music, would you? Or don't. I mean, I don't care. It's not my problem, but
you had to be really cool to be worth the extra work, though.
Oh, so yeah, it was a whole heaping, helping, a hard work, but I got some pretty great content. And sometimes when you don't have good stuff to cover is when you find the best stuff. I had a number of people in my comments saying, yeah, great. They're good when they're new, but don't they just fall apart? I don't know. Let's go out to a used car lot and find out.
Yeah, maybe.
So I
That's
circled
an
back.
excellent suggestion. So you did a number of freelance things, looking around, talking to different people, and like you said, popping in and out of showrooms and used car lots. So
I must have gone to 20 showrooms without exaggeration for 20 different brands. I went to 2 or 3 Tesla showrooms. I only count that as one because they were all the same. But yeah, the only other one that I repeated is I think I went to. Oh no, actually, I don't think I went to any of the others twice.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, for those who are unaware, how big population-wise is Shanghai, the greater Shanghai area that you were in?
So in China, they love to let the cities expand. You know how a big city will sometimes annex the county outside of it. Well, in China, they just let them do that. So, for example, if you wanted to go from downtown Shanghai, the main part that everyone thinks of as Shanghai, to Giga Shanghai, which is in the city of, it is 90 kilometers away. It's about 2.5 hours on public transit. Um, and this very, very large area is encompasses anywhere, depending on how you're counting it and which estimates you're using, 14 to 20 million people. So it's
Wow.
the largest cities in the world by population.
That is that's impressive. And it was the traffic choking, Brian? Like was there a lot of traffic? I'm not talking pollution. I'm talking
Right?
like just
Congestion.
density and congestion.
Surprisingly, I expected it to be vastly worse than it had been on my previous trips. It was not as bad as I expected. Yeah, it was normal city bad. Um, Getting, the not very long distance from the airport to the hotel in the middle of the night would be 25 minutes. During the day, it's 40. That's fine.
Mhm.
That's really not that big of a delay. Uh, so a lot of the roads have been freed up for cars. If you go back 20 years, what you'd see a lot of was bicycles and scooters. And now, someone tried to say, "Oh man, look at those streets. They used to be full of people and bustling, and now, in the last week since the tariffs hit, they're dead." I'm like, "No, nope. All the people have moved underground. They're mole folk now because, uh, 20 years ago there was 2 subway lines, and now there are 13 subway lines that crisscross the city. That moves a lot of the traffic underground, freeing it up for the cars."
Wow. Okay.
But
And
let's talk about the choking.
yeah, let's
That
talk about the
I
other type of choking.
I saw blue skies in Shanghai for the first time in my life. Many visits to Shanghai, first time seeing blue sky. That was cool. Then the air quality, you'd get there and you'd be like, boy, I think I got sick on the plane. Nope, that's just the smog. That is gone. There are still some dino burners out there, but not many. I got up the first day at 5, 6 in the morning, went outside for a walk. I heard birds. And there were a couple of like garbage trucks or water tanker trucks moving around that were diesel, but almost all the cars were electric. The few that weren't were very quiet and well maintained. And the biggest surprise was when you're at a intersection and the light turns green and a scrum of 30 scooters takes off next to you. You know what 30 scooters sounds like, don't you?
Yeah.
Nothing. It sounds like
Really?
nothing. Yeah, they're all electric.
They're all
Yeah.
electric.
Yeah. And when you get back to the hotel, which is next to the hotel I stayed at, the Fish Inn was down an alley, and it's like a residential alley. And along the sides is little areas where people park their scooters at night, all of them plugged in.
Hmm.
So these are people who are no longer having to go to wherever the gas station is and queue up. I assume you would have to
Yeah.
queue up if there's a million people getting gas for their scooters, but yeah, saves time, saves money, saves the air. I assume the scooters have some degree of regenerative braking. E-scooters have braking, so these larger scooters presumably would too. And even the old rickety tricycles that you would see with the old guy hauling bales of cardboard, he's converted it to electric. It's not a bicycle anymore. It's got the smallest, weakest, slowest electric motor I've ever seen, slowly helping him through his day,
Yeah.
silently.
Yeah. I like to
It-
give people the anecdote that that's the reason we have bioweapon defense mode was they needed it for the China market. The Model S is not a a gangbuster seller, so they had to do it to all of them to get the financials they wanted to make that happen. And it was such
Wow.
a hit even here that they expanded it to the rest of the line. That's where and why we
Interesting.
have bioweapon. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
at
and
least that's
with
what they tell me.
the charging at night with all these scooters, like extension cords, I can imagine are dropping from apartment balconies, or plugging in here and there. But when it comes to EV infrastructure charging, level 2 charging, did you see evidence of that when you were in the downtown area?
Now, you may have seen what a quiet side street looks like in the developing world, where if you look up, it's a mess of copper spaghetti.
Yeah.
There's still a little bit of that, but interestingly, there are now channels that all the cables are laid within.
Okay.
So if you look up, you'll see channels. It's great. They are not dangling cords out the window because these are so common that the landlord puts them in, that whoever owns the place puts them in. They're probably required to.
Yeah.
So that all helps. Then you've got the matter of level 2 charging and fast charging. I didn't see any of that because I didn't go into anyone's garages, and I was never with a cabbie when he had to top off. So I can't speak to the infrastructure. I have no experience with it.
Did
Okay.
you happen to see? I don't know if Gogoro operates there, but that same, I'm sure they have a copy of it. The just the stand of the scooter batteries that you can swap in.
The thing is, everything is so different that if I
Yeah.
saw it, I wouldn't have known what I was looking at.
Fair enough.
It's
Could be batteries, could be lunches.
overwhelming. Yeah, you're walking through a market and you're looking around and you're like, is this, there's a basket of something. Is it savory? Is it salty? Is it soap? I can't help you.
Right.
And with the because I imagine that we hear the problem in North America when it comes to city dwellers, when it comes to charging, is of course some people don't have access to level 2 or even level 1 in their apartment or their underground parking spot. I'm wondering if China has moved ahead of that and probably mandated many of those plugs to be put into new developments. Maybe it's a requirement. Maybe it's something that because like 14 million people, that is a lot of people. And as you mentioned, most cars have switched over to electric as far as what you see on the streets. So that leaves a lot of people requiring a charge that are living in apartments or condos or high rises.
So let's start with, if you live in a state or province with 14 million people, you've got at least 7 million cars. If you live in a city of 14 million people, ain't nowhere close to that many cars, because you don't need one. You really don't need one. Most people in the city are walking distance to some kind of transportation that is effective and affordable, especially compared to the cost of a car. All the subway rides I did ranged in price from, probably 40 to 65 cents each way. I know that might be a lot for them, but it's still cheaper than a car. When it comes to garages, I would be very surprised if charging is not mandatory. Even for older structures, you have to put it in. When you've got a central government that can give top-down demands, not requests, you can start with the carrot, give them incentives, and then you move quickly to the stick. Do it or else. And it's so I would be very surprised if there isn't some sort of charging everywhere. And what I would expect to see, and what I would like to see even in the US, is, okay, fine, not level 2. Just give all of us level 1. Level 1 adds a lot of miles a day. A handful per hour. You could pick up 50, 60 miles a night. That's more than the average US driver does. And at least based on the mileage I saw on the used cars. at the used car lot, drivers in Shanghai rack up even fewer miles because it's not like you're going to, if you live an hour from work, you're not living 50 miles from work. You're probably more like 10 or 20 and traffic just got you. And most people who have apartments don't have dedicated parking. So I think it would be reasonable to charge more for that parking and provide charging.
It says here that you are unable to provide charging at this garage, and you can't renovate it. Do you want to amend your answer? All right,
or shall we tear it down for you?
Exactly, it's torn down now.
Well, let's go ahead, Casey. Go ahead.
JT was asking if you had seen by any chance the Neo swap station while you were there.
So I unfortunately didn't. Those are not in places where I would walk. So I would have had to seek one out specifically. A gentleman did suggest, said, if you have time, you should do it. And I considered it, but we've seen videos of what it is and what it does. And it's not like I could walk up to the owner and have a conversation.
Right. So, it'd be less than when they do their open the kimonos and look at this.
Right. It would be, I'm not familiar with that, but it would be, I think all I would have gotten was B-roll comparable to what you would see. And I should amend it. I do realize now that I've been to Neo is one that I went to twice. I went to one showroom in a mall. Oh, it was so crazy. I get to the location of where the mall's supposed to be, and I see like a park with some cool old style, like brick 2-story, like little office buildings. I'm like, that's weird. Where's the mall? And I walk over and I look down 3 stories. It's underground, open air, 3-story mall. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got to be kidding. So I take the escalator down. There's Neo. The I guess salesperson there was very helpful. The cars were fantastic. The design looked good. Design is a matter of taste. I don't think you need a review to tell you if something looks good or not. If you do, I don't know, get better eyes. I don't know. The only problem was with Neo is that they end up being a bit heavy because they're all swappable, and they end up being a bit not just heavy, but it means they've got redundant structure so that when the battery's removed, it doesn't fold, which I think is handy. And it means that the costs are discouragingly expensive on the back end. A lot of owners look at it as, wow, look at me, free battery. And it's not free. Nothing's free. Someone's paying for it. If you're not, Neo is, and Neo is bleeding billions still. And now that they've got, one of the points that I made about Neo was, if Tesla had locked in when they made the Model S to a battery swap, when the Model X came, they'd have said, haha, perfect. It uses the same size battery. But then what with the Model 3 and Y? Okay, well, I guess we'll have 2 batteries. Well, 4, since we need different sizes. Well, we could just try and balance the right number of batteries, but sometime you'll go in and get my short range battery, and I'll go in and get your long range battery, and that doesn't make any sense. So you end up with a problem. Well, now Neo's got their new Firefly, which is their compact, which has yet a different size battery. They're going to stock that one as well. So they've got a battery of batteries that they have to have all of in stock all the time everywhere. And that might be great for most days, but for holidays, I imagine it's tricky. Yeah. And it's especially problematic just getting the permits for the swap stations, because do you know what kind of fire permit you need to put that many batteries underneath an apartment building or next door to a school? It's I don't
a basement,
I mean,
because most of them are not like drive up, you drive in and then everything's underneath the structure.
It's the fire concern, and not that Neo's had problems with fires, but it's an EV battery, and you have to be you will struggle to get permits in a number of places. I know in China, there was talk of having those batteries used as stationary power storage, like mega packs effectively. But in the US, good luck trying that. every county has its own utility with its own rules.
Yeah.
It would be, if you only put them in places where you could use them in that way, you would have a comically incomplete charging map.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, if you look at the way that we freaked out about the Chinese scooter batteries,
Mhm.
imagine how they did in China. There's a reason why some of them have gone back to lead for the scooter batteries. So
The
you
benefit
said
is
getting that many and get the permits for them is gonna be
the benefit is almost all Chinese batteries are LFP, which are
yeah,
substantially less prone to fire,
yeah.
but not immune.
Not immune, but that's a fact. Oh,
Mhm.
those cheaply made fly by night situations, they had to prove,
Mm,
hey, we're safe, or hey, with this LFP, don't ban us.
yes.
You mentioned the swaps. So mine is one of the last, not the last, but one of the last that was actually engineered for the swaps. It's never
Mm.
even been near the swap station, and I think they closed it down before they built it. So
Wow.
uh,
I've been to that swap station. It was pointed out to me because I never would have spotted it.
it was like
Uh,
an oil change or car wash, right?
it looks, yeah, like it might have been a car wash.
Yeah.
It's on the highway. It's on I-5 somewhere in California. I don't remember, between LA and San Francisco.
But I've been going over numerous times about why a swap station outside of something like a Beijing or Shanghai would not work because with just the one battery, because say you had a 10-minute cycle to do the change, and so you'd have to have at least 6 extra batteries ready to go to keep it running for the whole hour, and then you need more than that, and the
Well,
economics don't add up.
the economics are
And
tricky.
now you add more sizes.
Neo
Yeah,
believes Neo's swaps are 3-4 minutes. They say,
it's more
I've heard
battery.
people say 3 minutes, but I haven't seen any video evidence that would suggest it's actually 3 minutes.
Yeah.
But the trick being, if there's people in line in front of you, it's no longer 3 minutes. It's only
Right.
3-4 minutes if you're the first one in line. And like you said, if the station isn't fully utilized, that's great. You've got all the batteries there are as charged as they need to be. But yeah, if you're going to be swapping every 3 minutes, now you need 20 batteries. Uh, and
And they all have to be the right size.
and
Imagine
they
something
all
like
have to
that.
be the right size. So as a result, you end up, every one of those should have been a whole extra car that you made, a lighter
Yeah, that too.
car. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
That's why
it's
isn't that
kind
why
of
VFast
crazy.
switched in the States from leasing to you just buy the car with the battery in it
I think
and
Neo
a better
would
place to run
do,
out?
I think Neo will do all right on the east coast of China, where cities are dense and and the convenience outweighs the downside. I'm not sure how they're going to scale in the 95% of the world where such things are a drag rather than a benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, on your visit there, you went to a number of showrooms. Did these were obviously you were looking for EV showrooms, but some would have the occasional gas car shown.
So
But
what I looked for was just showrooms. Just show
okay,
me a showroom, because it's gonna be electric, and there were very few exceptions to that. One exception was Tank. Great Wall Motors Tank. They have off-road adventure vehicles. Some of them look pretty cool and retro. Some of them look pretty futuristic, but they are legit off-road vehicles. Those are, and I don't remember now, they might have been just straight gas. Um, you
I was
would,
gonna ask if they were still NEVs, but
right.
the way of being like a mild hybrid or something.
Well, what you would see more of when it came to like MPVs, minivans,
Mhm.
is they would have an electric version, but they would also have a aggressive hybrid where it would give you 300 of pure electric and a gas tank. So you could get 600-700 miles of range uh, without your first stop, and then of course in the back it is basically a limousine. I mean, the
Yeah.
seats recline all the way. They've got footrests, you've got massaging seats, heated seats, ventilated seats, a variety of screens, a refrigerator, and this is still a $65,000 car.
hmm,
It's like, ooh, that's a lot of car for the money.
It is.
And with range like that, your poor driver will be busting at the seams by the time you get to the first bathroom.
Yes.
and
And then they
with
did the hybrid for the range, and so they can all qualify as new energy vehicles. That way, they don't
Yes, they still get
filter out.
the blue plate.
Yeah.
The
and
group.
with these showrooms, is there anything different in a Shanghai showroom than what we would see in a busy, North American city?
When you picture a showroom, a car showroom in the US, you picture a giant parking lot with a little glass building in the middle of it. None of them look like that, not one. These all look like the Tesla store at the mall. It's in a mall or some kind of retail location. It is absolutely a store. It only has typically a handful of cars, and that's it. And because you're in a mall and it's in a mall, so is another dealer, and maybe another one, and maybe another one. That's how I was able to hit so many, is I would go looking for one and I'd find four. So I would just
A
shoot
lot
until the
easier to
battery
go
was
to a
done.
mall than an auto mile.
Yeah, well, I'm here to buy something. What do you got? Cars. I have cars.
Yeah.
But the Huawei flagship store is an amazing place. It's right on the corner of East Nanjing Road and I forget the name of the other road, but it's right where it's the heart of the city. So it's where the closed pedestrian walking road is. It's a 3-story building and they occupy the whole thing.
And does it do
And
their whole catalog or just cars?
the whole
You
catalog.
got a phone, a blender, a
So,
car.
yes, on the ground floor, you've got phones, tablets, cars, and a cool little presentation space where they can give presentations.
All right.
And then up a floor, they've got, I think the second floor might be home entertainment, and the third floor is appliances.
Cool.
So
And in the back, they got your network switches and cellular towers. And
I don't know. I wonder if those are on the third floor or if there's just a display that mentions them.
they're on the
But
roof.
they might be.
Here's how you deploy it.
Yeah. So they are, and they've got one of each of their cars on display. And it's crazy because forget a Tesla style rear infotainment where you've got a little screen. What you've got is either dual screens or a single screen or a big screen that comes down with a projector behind you, or a big screen that comes up out of the divider between you and the front. And one thing I saw that was amazing was these little jacks that plug into the back of the 2 front seats. And that little jack is a mag back that you put your branded tablet onto that charges the tablet. So it's not a safety thing. If you bump into it, it just disconnects, it falls. And it's anything you want it to be. You want a bigger one, you want a smaller one, you want a nicer one, you want a newer one, whatever it is, just pop it on and it integrates. And of course, I asked a very silly question. I said, Android, CarPlay, what do you got? And they were like, what? No. I'm like, oh, just like an in-house thing. They're like, no. Well, here, let me show you. He pulls out his phone and he syncs it with the car, and the display is now his phone. So you know how you've got 3 home screens? It's those 3 screens side by side. And then he turns on his camera and I can see whatever his camera sees right on the screen. It was the side of a fat guy's face. I'm like, wow, that looks like me. So it was, and I was like, it's everything. It's your apps. It's your Spotify or whatever is permissible in China.
Yeah.
Variant, yeah.
And the worst software I experienced was still better than anything here except maybe Tesla and Rivian.
Huh.
Go ahead.
That says a lot for them. So Derek is asking, what is their level 1 over there? It's not going to be 120 because that's what we use here in North America, but probably similar, like 13 amp, 240.
It's probably, yeah, because the voltage isn't what's going to slow you down. It's going to be the amperage. So it's probably, yeah, something low like that. You're still going to get about the same kind of level 1 speeds that you would get anywhere in the world, even though the voltage is probably 220.
Mm-hmm. And with these new all these different car dealers, like there's a ton of them. Obviously, some names that we in North America have never heard of. But how does a Huawei get to build a car? Where does that come from?
Huawei famously has not built cars until recently. How did they get so good so quick? And the answer is they don't build them. They partner with
Contract.
a serious manufacturer. So if you think about it from the perspective of like, let's say Ford, GM, the big three, let's say they were nonprofits. We're not here to make a profit. We're here to help cars happen. We're going to make cars when there are no cars. We're going to help others make cars when they need cars. And GM reaches out to Rivian and says, look, you're struggling with the R1T and S. Why don't you let us build the R2 and 3? Give us the designs. We'll build it. We've got a line ready to go. You sell them in your stores. It'll have the same warranty, the same everything. Let's just get it done. And that's what a lot of companies in China do. They're the state-owned manufacturers. You go, oh, that's central government. No, it's actually local government. Like SAIC is a Shanghai regional government manufacturer, and they make cars for other people. They make cars for Rowie and Huawei. I think they make one model, and so Huawei makes their 6-7 different models with 6 or 7 different manufacturers. And no one says, oh, yeah, but this one, I don't want this one. It's an SAIC. No, they don't. That's not a thing. The quality is whoever designed it. And the benefit is you've got a real manufacturer with, in their case, 60 years of experience manufacturing cars. And they know how to do it. So
What I'm hearing is they specify what they want, and if they don't get what they want, they don't order from that company.
right. We give you the designs. And the other thing is those companies, those manufacturers will reach out and say, hey, look, we got a new factory we just put up. There's going to be 4 lines available in January. Do you want one or more of those lines? And you go, oh yeah, I want one of them.
Yeah.
Great. Here's your deadline to get everything over, or we're going to give it to someone else. Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. And they work around the clock and get the design done. And that's how you get companies like Xiaomi. They did the same thing. They partnered with GAC, I believe, to make their car. And they go, well, no, but Xiaomi wholly owns their factory now. Yeah. Which factory is that? Because I'm going to tell you a week ago, there was a big sign out front that said GAC. So I maybe they do, but it's
maybe they own it, but the other guy still operates out of it. So
yeah,
with institutional knowledge.
Yes.
Okay.
He's saying he has a point about these wicked ranges. It's like, what's the point if the engine's never used?
Absolutely. I agree. I think it's a psychological thing that people just want more range. If the price
Like
wasn't,
Magna.
yeah,
Sorry.
it's exactly like Magna, except without the profit motive. So Magna makes the Supra, the Z4, the I-Pace, the G-Wagon, and Magna has manufactured cars for people for a long time. Fisker, I barely know her. And there's so many of these cars that they have built over the years. Come on, Casey, don't encourage me. It's only going to get worse. So I don't know on the Mona. Xiaopeng was another one where they reached out and said, yeah, we'd love to have you and help you and all that. And we just emailed and then nothing happened. So, but let's see and again, the bigger the booth, the louder the music. Yes. So then on what were we saying though, on the manufacturing? Oh yeah, just like Magna.
Yeah.
So they will make it for you. And that's what a lot of these manufacturers do, because if you're GAC or BAIC, I mean, all these different companies, what you have is the ability to build a car, but not the ability to sell one. And Huawei's got stores, Apple style stores. They will put them in with salespeople who know how to talk to customers. So it's a great partnership.
This is different for an American to get their head around. So is this like the water company, basically? They have jobs and they don't really care about a profit. They don't want to lose money, but they don't have a profit motive. And then they give it to these people who know how to sell stuff.
Yes, that's a reasonable example. And when I was telling Mark about this the other day, I said, well, right, but there's still a motive in there somewhere, a profit motive, not a profit motive. There's a volume motive. They don't need to make money. The they're not trying to turn a profit on these. They just need to get units out the door. And that's how the whole system works.
Because they got to get
Now-
these many jobs and this many units so they can get whatever's required. And then those other people do their thing.
Yeah.
Now, Brian, you've been to 1,000,001 auto shows. What
Not that
was,
many.
Well, okay.
I've been to quite a few.
What was the difference in Shanghai compared to ones that you've been to? Like, what was the differences? What did you like? What do you dislike?
Okay. So I like the fact that the subway goes directly to the car show. That's great. And then you come out and realize, nah, the line would be too long if we did it that way. So you get to snake out the building and around, and you're going to walk a mile to get to the entrance. Okay, fine. And the procedure to get in was just a nightmare, a hassle and a half. Well, you pre-register, of course, and then you scan this code with WeChat, except Brian doesn't have data because he's a gringo. And so this poor gal holding the sign has to turn on her hotspot so I can get my code, so I can go up and get in 4 different lines before they tell me this is the correct line. Just show your face. And then when I had to scan back in later because I had to try and use the ATM, it's a whole thing. It's a single entry. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. And it scanned me and it showed me a picture of a different fat old white guy. And it's like, yep, you're in. I'm
Look
like,
the same.
that's close. Hey, I'll be honest, I can't tell white people apart. So but the big difference is the scale. The scale is unimaginable. What I did a presentation in Portland last weekend. I told them, if any of you went to the Portland Auto Show, which is on the smaller side, I said, imagine the entirety of the Portland Auto Show is one of the clover leaves of a 4-leaf clover. So you walk through it, you check it out. You're like, this is pretty great. You go to the second, third, fourth, and then you realize there's escalators. And you go up to 2 more floors just like that. One is all automotive, and the third is parts, suppliers, technology, all that. And it just keeps going. It is there for as I could when I went through my battery and then some.
The kids took the internet.
Oh, got some streaming problems here.
Streaming problems. Am I back?
Oh, now you're back. Yep.
Now I'm back. Okay. So it was the scale is the big thing. It is ginormous, and from the press release I've seen, they're expecting to have had 1 million visitors this year.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That's other-earthly. 1 million. You know how many states don't have 1 million people?
I was going to say that at the beginning of the show. I was like, that's more than many states.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly sober.
And was it, it was a pain to get in. It was a pain to move around because of the volume of people. But was it?
It was the volume of the music that was the pain. The volume of people wasn't that unreasonable. It was crowded, but no more crowded than other shows I've been to.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about the ATM. Why were you, other than not having a data connection, why were you messing with cash? I'm assuming it was cash.
Because my eSIM wouldn't work in a Pixel because Google and China are at war. So I never got my data to work. I could not get an eSIM to work, and you can't use any of your digital payments without data.
That makes sense.
So I got to be the one jackass using cash out of 1 billion people. And I would there were places where you'd go to use it and they just go, oh, okay. And they're like digging around. Do we have change?
Did somebody remember the cash box today?
Yeah, it was pretty frustrating.
Wow. So how long were you there?
12 days, I think.
12 days surviving just on cash in a cashless city.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super great.
We've got a question about sodium. I know you and I have discussed sodium at length, but I lost it. Where'd it go? Here.
200 watt hours per kilogram. That'd be great. if it's ready to go, let's do it. Sodium is more stable even than LFP, as I recall, and the reason sodium development stopped was because lithium prices tumbled. Lithium prices had gotten astronomical due to speculators. Many feared this was the new normal pricing. It wasn't. So they, so then, yeah. What are you going to do there? And I know that there are a handful of brands in China that already rolled out sodium batteries. I read up on a month ago. There were, I think, 3 or 4 companies. When you see a miracle battery announcement, be skeptical.
Yeah.
But my experience has been, if that announcement comes from LG, CATL, BYD, those aren't a joke. Those are the real deal, and they're not something that they're thinking about or working on. That's something they're planning to release imminently.
Yeah, like next month or something. Because
Right.
that's my stance on it as well. Like somebody says miracle battery, I'm like, okay, I'll read the headline and we're gonna move on. But
Right.
if it's somebody who's huge in batteries, where this disruption could destroy their business if they're not ready for it, and they say they're doing it, that means they're
Right.
ready. It's gonna
That
be on
means it's
point.
ready.
Yeah, they're not gonna
Derek wanted to know
osborne
about
themselves.
Derek wanted to know if I could buy a burner phone, and the answer is that'd be great for everything except payments, because there's no chance in hell I could get a burner phone to connect to my bank accounts in another country due to security reasons.
Hmm.
So it maybe I could get a burner and then like prepay. I don't know. There's a whole lot of moving steps, and it just made it very difficult.
What about the with this being the Tesla life and all? How was Tesla represented in China? What were your feelings of that?
I asked a lot of people about a lot of car things, and you know how I like to mix up my questions to see if it changes the answers. Um, what I found is that I found no one with a negative opinion of Tesla. I
Hmm.
found some people who felt it was a bit pricey, but that was about it in terms of negativity. Tesla, uniquely, was not at the auto show, which is weird, but they don't have a new product to show off apart from, I guess, the Cybercab, which probably won't come to China anytime soon. So what would their booth be? An Optimus that they're not operating? Or, I mean, I don't know. Or one that they only show for a very short period of time? It's tough to say what they would actually have a booth for. They just weren't there. Um, in every showroom, they did have a Model X, even though I never saw one on the road. They're 100 grand, and they don't have anywhere close to the kinds of features and comforts you can get in China for half that price. So
Wow.
it is
Name brand.
something you would only buy for the cool doors. Um, and embarrassingly, in the showroom, I had my buddy Rosh with me. My editor, Rosh from Nepal, flew in for the event to join me, and he doesn't have much experience with Teslas in person. So I said, "Do you want to understand the fit and finish issues that was trying to address?" So we started with the Highland Model 3 that was right there. I showed him how straight the lines were, how good everything lined up, how symmetrical everything was. And then we went to the Fremont Model X, and it's
Ooh,
just
that's different.
it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing compared to a Chinese built Model 3. And I'm looking at it going, honestly, I don't know who's paying 100 grand for this. And now with the new import tariffs, why don't you make it 200? I don't know. So it's going to be a tough sell, I think.
To be purely the
But
brand name, or you work for Tesla.
but they leave it in the showrooms because those doors are a showstopper.
Anybody else in the electric car world in China have those type of suicide door, or not suicide doors, but gull wing doors?
Certainly nothing like that. The only other unusual doors that I remember seeing, I saw some concepts at the car show with like suicide doors, but in terms of an actual car, the only one I can think of is the Yang Wang U9, which has the scissor doors.
Yeah.
And that's the
So
one
this
that can hop over a puddle.
the one that comes. There was one showed off about 4 years ago. that had Model X style doors that looked like, but really what it was um, the roof would pop up, and then
Hmm.
the other doors would do something different.
Hmm. Yeah.
The rest of the door. It
Yeah.
wasn't quite Model X-y.
Yeah. So Derek did just ask, any electric vans? Tons. There were so many electric vans. Many brands had an electric van because they are stealth limousines. You get a
Yeah.
quiet, comfortable ride. You can put as much comfort in the back as you want. And if you have a driver, I mean, you could say, well, I don't want to be, hey, you want to maintain a low profile or not? And minivans in China don't have a soccer mom reputation the way they do here.
Hmm.
So they are a lot more common there.
Now, did you recognize anybody at the auto show? Was there anybody as you were wandering around that you said, I know that guy?
So interestingly, at the auto show, no. I did bump into John McElroy from
McElroy, yeah, he's cool.
McElroy from Autoline
Autoline.
at the at customs, so we didn't have much time to talk. And one day I was walking down a bridge, pedestrian bridge, and a guy on a scooter pulled up and said, "Excuse me, are you the guy from YouTube that talks about electric cars?" I was like, that's weird, dude.
Yeah.
That isn't that website banned here? And
Right.
yeah, and he goes, yeah, I saw you a few days ago. You started publishing Shanghai videos. I'm like, wow, man. Well, we have to get a picture. So I got a picture with Fred. It's cool.
You passed the sensors. I don't think I passed the sensors.
That's the other hassle in China is all the websites that I use require a VPN. Everything with Google, YouTube, X, Reddit, all of those require a VPN. And then you go to use like Amaps or any of the or WeChat, and in order to use those, you have to shut off the VPN because they won't work properly outside of China.
Well,
It's like
and
this.
the ones that are
is-
in both places, the coordinate system is different. So if you give you US, rest of the world coordinates, you will be like in a lake somewhere unless you're using the Chinese coordinates.
yeah, and that was something I had to deal with all the time. And then, of course, half the VPN connections either don't work or are too slow, and you gotta. It's. I mean, if there was a way, people say, "Oh, I bet the Chinese government paid you to go there." Oh, I wish. I
If
wish.
only.
Why would they do that? Yeah.
Why would they do that? I
Yeah.
think people think China is North Korea, and I don't.
Right. Like North Korea and
understand.
Russia, I can see them doing that. But
Right.
I don't see why
They're
China-
like, oh, is a handler going to meet you at the airport and make sure you only say what they want you to say? I'm like, no. Boy, that would be so convenient, but no. And
Yeah.
if you've watched any of my car reviews before, a lot of times the clerk is not permitted to be on camera, but they are permitted to stand just out of frame and answer questions I have. And one guy saw that in my Neo review and was like, oh, the Neo people are telling you what to say. No, this is some gal who's been there for a few. She's just trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
She didn't have to do that. I wanted that help. So I don't know, dude. It's just the conspiracy theories abound.
I mean, maybe if you were like a mega star or something, it might make like a smart ROI for them because they would have to then be able to either influence the rest of the world with their stuff, or be able to then know that you were good content that they could bring in house
Mhm.
and know they were getting their money back.
Well, what I would say
But
is
less, why would they care?
the much more likely thing that you would hope to see, that you would expect to see, is individual manufacturers bringing people over. Individual manufacturers saying, yeah, for these 3 days, 4 days, we will assign you a helper. But that helper is not a minder. It's not someone who's checking up on you and making sure, oh,
They
they
don't
know
pay enough for
every, yeah,
that.
it doesn't,
Although if you
China-
were a somebody they could spy on or something, that might change the calculus. Like if you were like the CEO of something they needed.
do you think Sandy Monroe was spied on when he went to China?
On some level, yes, but extensively, no.
Yeah, I just don't see the I think the benefit is grossly outweighed by the amount of effort. And if someone at my level is worth watching, guys, there's like millions of tourists a year come into that city. You think they assign millions of minders? Oh boy.
I'm sure there's somebody back at Central CCTV that has to like make sure you're not going off the beaten path, but I don't think it's much more than that.
Brian, we could
yeah.
probably talk for 12 hours on this subject because it's fascinating to hear your
It is.
perspectives about this other country. But let's wrap it up with this.
Hmm.
You've seen China previous 20
Mhm.
years ago. You saw it just recently, and you saw their push in the EV industry. Is it warranted that tariffs have to be put in place to block Chinese EVs coming into North America? Are they that good? Are they that advanced? Is the North American market in trouble if China was freely able to come across the ocean and start selling?
Okay. That's a very, very good question. So the tariffs started a million years ago. They ramped up a year or so ago. And if you were to look at the quality of vehicles they were selling at the time each of those tariffs was implemented, you'd say, this feels premature. And you'd have been right. But you can't stuff the genie back in the bottle. So if they hadn't done it then, we'd be facing it today. Because today there are cars that are good enough to dominate other markets at a price that makes sense. Now, you'll see a really cool BYD online and people, oh my gosh, this car's $27,000. Right. It's not $27,000 once you export it. You have to pay for the shipping, the time. In some cases, tariffs, depends on the country, maybe none. But it's still, you can figure it's going to be at least an extra 10 grand. That BYD Seagull is 18,000 when it gets to Brazil, and Brazil really wants that car there. So they do everything they can to make it easy. It still costs 10 grand more. That means that $27,000 car, when it gets here, would be 37. Well, that'd be less than Volkswagen, less than Hyundai. That'd be less than a Mach-E. That'd be a compelling car at a compelling price. We're already in trouble. And that's before the idea of China opening a factory here, which would not get you that full 10,000 back, but a good chunk of it and make it qualify for the incentives. Boy, it'd be game over. So if you look at those protectionist policies are absolutely sparing a lot of business in the US. It is saving the big three for now. It is saving the companies, the foreign companies that are making cars in the US for now. And you can make those protectionist policies permanent if you want, but that only saves you in one market. The EU has softened on Chinese imports. They're looking at potentially rolling back some of those tariffs now that the relationship with the US is not as strong as it once was. So they are, that could give them an advantage there. But let's just talk about the countries where no cars are manufactured. Let's talk about Australia, New Zealand, all of Africa, South America, other parts of Asia. If you're going to, you got a choice. You're going to import a $40,000 car from the US or Europe. Now it's 50,000. Or you're going to import a car that's about as good from China. It's 27, now 37,000. It's 13 grand cheaper. It's 26% cheaper. That is hard to compete with. And if it comes down to curb appeal, are you going to pick the one with the massaging seats or not?
Yeah, last time I went to an auto show, the North American International Auto Show or the LA Auto Show, I don't remember which, but the Chinese cars they weren't good, but they weren't unsellable. It was like you had something that looked like a Lexus, but was the quality of a Corolla. But just watching from afar, as I have been on the web lately, like that car is way back there as far as what their capabilities are.
Yeah. The two areas where the Chinese manufacturers are still lacking is in autonomy. Certainly, there are a couple brands, Huawei is one example, where they are catching up very quickly, but they are not there yet. They could leapfrog and get there in a year or two. And the other is in ride dynamics and suspension. China does not have a history of making heavy automobiles. They have a history of making very light automobiles. They are not adept at tuning for that difference. And it's not just, well, put on bigger shocks. It's the frame tuning as well. There's more to it. So what you end up with is a very easy problem to fix. Many manufacturers have already fixed it. I would argue the Model Y had the inappropriate suspension on it until the Juniper refresh, because even with the smallest wheels, the 19-inch with the long range, which has got to, the boatiest possible options, it was still it's still a rough ride. China's got that mostly dialed in with their newer cars. So in those other countries, what I expect to see happen is 2 or 3 brands will enter each country and hit it hard. So like in Nepal, BYD and one other, it might be the Mini. No, it's not the Wuling Mini, but it's a different Mini brand. Those 2 brands are in Nepal. They have the service centers. They can handle the warranties. They are in that market. And we're going to see that in every market around the world. It won't be the same company in every place. It might be that, that Envo chooses that they're going to be in this country, and we'll just see what happens. But if you're only worried about protecting sales in your country, you can do it. But if you're trying to compete on a global scale, you need to wake up and start making better cars.
Mm.
So on the suspension, for those not able to experience a Chinese car, would you say it was similar to the complaints about the VinFast?
So I've driven a VinFast, a Gen 1 VinFast. They were similar, but the VinFast was terrible, and these were just a little annoying. Like it felt a little
already better. Okay,
already better. Oh, already better. I drove a Neo, I was ridden in a Neo. I got to experience a test drive as a passenger in a Neo, but it wasn't their new one. It was their first model, which is now on, I think, its 3rd iteration. Mm-hmm. And it felt a little boaty, a little soft and unresponsive, but you could also feel every crack in the pavement. And that's with the Model Y that I have, it's not boaty and unresponsive, but you can feel every crack in the pavement. You are wearing thin shoes is what it feels like. But it appears that with the new version of that, which comes out, I think, in June, that's been solved, that Neo's got that sorted out. So suspension is a lot easier problem to solve than autonomy. We've seen people solve. American car companies, U.S. car companies are very good at taking something that weighs 6,000 to 9,000 pounds and making it feel like it's on a cloud, but also on rails. The Chinese makers will get there very, very soon. And with the autonomy, the real trick there is none of the Chinese brands are charging for it. It's just included. So
do you think they're just trying to take over and then raise their prices, or it's just
Nope.
the way they are?
I think they see that it's going to be a commodity. So just like cruise control, it's included.
Right.
Well, that's a lot of stuff to take in over 12 days over there, Brian. And I would ask others who have not experienced the Futurazo channel if they would like to see some of your videos from Shanghai. Please go to YouTube, go to X, and look up Futurazo and watch a few, because you did a walk and talk through downtown Shanghai at one point, and I thought that was a great video, because you were just kind of interacting with the area you were in. You were just wandering around talking about a topic, and it looked really well. You did a great job, I have to say.
Oh, thank you. That was, someone said, "Oh, I can't believe you did that whole thing without notes." I rehearsed it in my head for an hour and a half before I shot it, because I had to, that's how I write out my scripts anyways, by thinking about them and running them in my head. It's a good way to keep the voices down. There's just the one voice, and it's me, and I sound like this.
Oh, man. Well, fantastic. We really thank you for joining us today and getting your insight on what was going on over there. And man, what a visit. Will you go again to Shanghai? Would that in what you did this time entice you, or would you have to have more connections to people that would let you into the background, into the, outside of the show?
I would absolutely need helpers next time. I am not going in raw again. That was too much. That was an unpleasant experience. It just made every day difficult. It made every video a challenge. I got kicked out of the Wuling mini showroom because I didn't get it cleared in advance. And the gentleman that was with me, a gentleman from Australia, just went up and just kind of made a big deal about getting permission before we shoot. And if you ask for permission, there's a good chance the answer is no. The influencers, the Instagrammers, they're out there like professionals shooting this stuff all day. Just don't ask, just shoot. And if they have a problem, they'll let you know. So that was very frustrating because it was a very long commute to get to the Wuling showroom. But I'm not, upset with them. They're selling one of the cheapest cars in China. They are not paid enough to deal with this crazy guy. So I get it. But no, I would need a manufacturer or someone so that when my phone doesn't work, I can just hand to him and go, make my phone work, make it work. Or they could figure out how to make a burner work or payments work or something, because even trying to find a place to do my laundry was a massive pain. It was so crazy. I went to the place on the map, on A-Maps. I'm standing right in front of, well, there's clearly nothing here. And you ask people walking by with your translator app, and they're like, yeah, I couldn't tell you. I just do my clothes at home. Right. Why would you know?
Well, my hat's off to you, Brian, for going in raw like that, and surviving for 12 days and able to live enough to tell about it. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good for you. And what we'll put links to your YouTube channel and X in the show notes. And please go to Brian's channel on YouTube, subscribe, help him out. He's trying to get to 100,000 viewers, and he's getting there. So be one of the many that will be joining and helping him reach that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to shout outs. Casey, got any shout outs for us?
Yeah. So come over here to Tesla Life on Friday. Catch us for the Tesla Life Express Edition 1. And on Monday, and you'll catch us for the Edition 2. Catch us over at youtube.com/Casey Green or at GCustom on X. Who knows who may show up? These two have been here before. And we have a little chat. Yeah. And I look forward to seeing you all there.
Very good. Very good. Brian, any shout outs you'd like to give to the audience?
I'm going to be in Mexico, checking out all the EVs and the situation there from May 8th to, 18th or something like that. If you're in Mexico City or have contacts there, certainly let me know. I am less fish out of water in Mexico than I am in China, but still a gringo. So then in June, we've got the summer meetup in Muskegon, Michigan. Join us, won't you? I know at least one person in the chat who's going to be there, and at least two people on this screen who will be there. Slacker. And then the X takeover in July. I've got my schedule pretty full, but making the most of it.
Very good. Very good. Well, we want to thank everyone for watching tonight. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on the video. Press that subscribe button. And we want to thank Lee Moon for the music we use every week. Thanks to all of you. And we'll get together next time and find out together what's happening in the Tesla life.